Welcome to Hunt and Gather with the Chatters. Today, we're hunting mushrooms near Williams, Arizona.
And in northern Arizona, August seems to be the magic month for mushrooms. We usually get a good monsoon that starts the end of June, beginning of July, and then it rains all July, and it continues to rain off and on in August, and it just seems to be the right conditions in northern Arizona is August.
You can never have enough references. Mushrooms look very different from when they are young and when they are old. And in addition, if they are a single mushroom and they aren't in their cluster form that they may or may not come in, they can look like a different mushroom. Something that me and Aaron have chosen to do is any mushrooms that we feel like are a 50-50 that they're poisonous, we just steer clear of them. It's not worth our time. But when you go mushroom picking, I don't want you to rely on just my information. I want you to pick mushrooms at your own risk. Make sure that you either have a good resource or a couple good resources, and take somebody that likes to mushroom hunt along with you. Bottom line, you can never have enough resources. Even though we don't eat all the mushrooms that we find, it's still fun to find them. And so this is kind of a neat variety. We're gonna look it up when we get home, see if we can't figure it out, but it's got really big gills on it, real pretty color, and growing in these clusters here. But just fun to see what you can find, even if you're not eating them.
So we found one of my favorite types, puffballs. And what makes puffballs unique is there's no stem. They're just coming out of the ground like that. The reason I like them is they're pretty unique in identification. You know, there's nothing that really looks similar. The drawback of puffballs are they're very mild in flavor, so a lot of people don't seek them out because they find them to be kind of boring. But I think they taste as good as a store-bought mushroom, so I still like them. One thing you want to do though is you want to cut them open. And yeah, so what'll happen is they'll get yellow inside or green, and that means they're getting too old. It's not that you couldn't eat them, but they're not going to taste good. We're early in the season, so I'm going to go ahead and trim off the bad part and keep the rest. But the other thing I'm looking for when I cut them open, I want to make sure there wasn't like a T-shaped vein, because what can happen, there's no veinage in here at all. It's just like a marshmallow, so that means it's good. But what could happen is you could have a very young mushroom of another type that will appear to be a puffball, and it's just because it hasn't had a chance to really start growing the stem and everything, and so in which case it could even be a poisonous mushroom. But we know these are actual puffballs, and this one's actually looking real good inside.
We just found some oyster mushrooms. We're really excited about them because this is considered a choice mushroom.
You said they're oysters?
Oyster mushroom. It's a shelf mushroom. They grow out of the size of trees, typically dead trees, and they form a little shelf. There's some pretty old ones that are kind of shriveled, and then there's some nice ones that are really fresh. You can tell they're going to be the perfect moistness, and they're going to have a little bit longer shelf life. No pun intended. We've gone on a few mushroom hunts over the last couple of weeks, and we were actually archery deer hunting over the last couple of weeks too, and so we located an area where we found some lobster mushrooms, and so we're going to bring out some of our family to find them because it's like an Easter egg hunt.
What's this?
That's one of them.
What That's exciting.
Yeah, but sometimes you'll just see a mound in the pine needles and you scrape it away and there they are,
Huh.
Oh, Bob's got a...
Oh, heck yeah.
Bob, you got a big one.
Is it?
That's one.
This one is deep.
Yeah, so you got to do a little more digging because they kind of break apart.
I just destroyed it, I guess.
No,
huh?
I think it's probably we're gonna be able to salvage it, and maybe it was smaller than it looked, but
Are there any other bricks or is this kind of it?
this whole hillside, hun, go ahead and look.
Oh, there's still more down there, huh? Oh, okay.
So here's what's interesting about lobster mushrooms. They're a parasitic mushroom. They eat other mushrooms.
Oh, these do?
Yes, so you won't find these until well after you've seen a bunch of other
Oh,
mushrooms because they can't grow without other mushrooms to support
Are
them.
they close to trees? Or
Well, so a lot of times you'll just see the mound of pine needles and you'll think, well, why is it mounded up? And then you get digging.
Oh. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
but see, that's not a
That's
lobster.
Is that
See the
poisonous?
veins? I don't know. I just don't know enough about it. But look. There's one.
Oh, look.
See? You want to hold it out?
Yeah.
And smile with the camera.
Oh, look.
Not a lobster.
But I think these are the ones that
Some of these
the lobster mushrooms like to target.
Look at that.
Did you find a good one?
So excited.
Alright, look.
Clean them up and take a picture of it.
Look at this one.
Oh my gosh, it's perfectly shaped.
Farmers market. Look at that.
Awesome.
Oh, there's another one
Yeah.
right
See, there's a hump and there's a hump.
How'd you figure that
Okay.
out?
Nothing. Oh, see,
Well, nope, it's not a lobster.
that's not a lobster, but it's a real pretty red one.
That one.
I wish we knew if some of these others were edible.
I know, doesn't it break your heart?
Are some of them poisonous?
Yeah, some of them are. And so because mushroom identification is tricky, we just stick with the ones we know. And the lobsters we know.
I think there's one right here that you might want to dig up.
There's one right here, honey. One down here? Yeah. Looks like a big one.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, see how it's funnel shaped like that?
Yeah.
And you can just tell by the weight of it, it's still got quite a bit of moisture in it. So that's a good one. That's a real good one. Is there any more in there? Yeah, just a little chunk. Nice. Good eye. Oh, Grace got one too.
Another one, huh?
They kind of look like they have some moss. Like some.
Oh, like the white powder? It's going to be fine, hun, because we're going to boil them. All that stuff is going to come off. Awesome. Does he got some good weight to him?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, she found a really good one.
Let me see. Ooh. That one looks good too right there.
Just that one.
Oh, that one's great. That's a
I remember you
double.
found this one too.
Oh my gosh, you could use that one to hold water.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Not near as much as Brian.
Wow.
Grace, you got a lot, honey. Wow.
It pays to scout.
Look at this beauty. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at
You
that.
could mount one of those and put them on the wall or somewhere.
Look at that.
All right. So we had an awesome mushroom gathering. Got all of these mushrooms. Now it's time to do the work to wash them and prep them for storage or for immediate use. It's kind of a time-consuming process when you think about what you would do if you were to just pick up mushrooms from the store, but it's worth it. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna take your mushrooms and do just an initial trim to get off the bulk of the dirt. And that the ends of them that was in the ground, that's usually the biggest culprit, but as soon as you trim that, you're already working with a lot less dirt. You can also do the same with any of the spots here that seem to be a little bit drier or can just be scraped off. But really, for the most part, we're gonna use a toothbrush to get off some of that more wet dirt, or any of the dirt that's on this softer area of the mushroom. The mushrooms are pretty hardy, so you don't necessarily have to be super gentle with them. And even if it breaks into pieces, you can use those pieces later on. It's nice when you're cutting into a whole mushroom and you get to pick your specific sizes of your slices, but it's not the end of the world if you have some smaller pieces to work with. So once you've trimmed any big chunks of dirt off, then you're gonna go ahead and take a toothbrush and do a brush all over any of the dirty areas. And you can rinse as you go along. You can also have some water that you have the mushrooms soaking in. We're just gonna get the bulk of the dirt off. So here's what's so neat about lobster mushrooms. They're such a stout mushroom that we are not only gonna wash them and brush them in cold water, but we're also gonna boil them. And so that boiling is the last step that really gets the bulk of the dirt off. Now we're gonna do a final rinse. And now we're ready to chop. All right, I have some pieces over here that have already been cleaned and they were broken off from a larger mushroom, but still perfectly doable. And I like to cut my slices about 1.5 inches, and then about 1/2 inch thick. And that gives me a good amount of mushroom to work with later on, based on whether or not I'm gonna fry them or am gonna chop them into smaller pieces. While I'm doing this, I'm kind of giving it a once over to make sure there's no dirt hidden in the crevices. But yeah, I'm just chopping them into pieces. Again, this is not the size piece that I said I wanted, but it'll do.
What's the exact size piece you want?
I would say this is my best friend right here.
Okay, let's hold it out. Okay.
But not every mushroom will give you that because maybe it's broken into pieces. So now we're working on the big mushroom. Again, these are the ones that are the choice mushrooms to work with. You're gonna cut it in half and then just work some strips. I know some of you guys are looking at that and thinking, oh no, what are we gonna do? It's kind of like a potato. Peel that dude, okay? He's a little on the long side. I'm just gonna cut him in half. Same thing, just peel.
And you just do that if it's really porous and dirty, otherwise there's nothing wrong with the skin.
Oh, absolutely not, yeah. It actually, I think it adds a lot to whatever you're baking if you keep that skin on there. And something you're gonna see in our next step is when we boil these, they're gonna turn into a white and red mushroom. So you'll get rid of the orange and it's gonna become a red mushroom, and it's really pretty. Probably where it gets its name, lobster mushroom. When you cook them, they turn red. We're gonna go ahead and add some more to this and we'll do the next step. All right, so we have all the mushrooms cleaned. If you wanna look in here, we're gonna do 2 pots just because there's so many of them. And I could maybe do 1 pot, but I really only wanna boil them for about 5 minutes. Anything more than that's unnecessary. But we're kind of doing a blanching or a parboil process so that in the future, when we cook them, we're really just giving them a second crispy cook or a saute cook. We're not doing a full-on cook. So I'm gonna get my water going, and I am wanting to boil them, so I'm gonna put it at a pretty high heat. Right now, you can see they're orange. The mushrooms are orange. When they're done, you're gonna see they are red, and so is the water. So let's get those going and we'll boil it for 5 minutes. All right, if you look real closely, you can see they're starting to turn red, as is the water. And these ones are done. It was a smaller pot, and so they're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll take these off the heat, and then I'm just gonna scoop these out on this tray and let them cool.
Okay, so once you boil your mushrooms, you know, you're probably gonna want to eat some right away, but also we like to go out and get big batches of them. But once you boil them, they freeze really well. So we put them in a quart-size Ziploc, and then we'll put like 3 quart-size Ziplocs inside of a gallon Ziploc so that they're double bagged. And that's actually how we do our wild game or anything that we're going to freeze. But then you can thaw them out up to a year later and fry them or chunk them up and use them in any of your favorite dishes. And yeah, they keep really well.
We decided we're going to go ahead and deep fry some of these mushrooms to eat as a side dish. So I've already boiled them and they're ready to go. I got my tempura batter made. This is just a flour, baking powder, water mix. So about 1 cup flour to 2.5 teaspoons baking powder, and then water until it's a thin consistency. Let me just show you how thin this is. Just enough to coat my fork. So I just throw them all in there. And I dried these before I put them in here because I want the batter to stick to them. Just slowly drop them in there. All right, so they're all done. You can see they're golden brown. You can even see a little bit of the red showing through. They're just a really pretty mushroom. And then as far as their presentation, once they're cooked, deep fried even, they're just even prettier. I'm just gonna bring those guys out. And they're good just on their own. But if you are a ranch lover, like myself, they're really good in ranch. And we are all gonna give them a try after they cool for a couple of minutes.
Let's eat! All right, so
Delicious.
we got some fried mushrooms here. Look at those babies. And some ranch.
Especially ranch.
What do you think, Fern?
They're all good.
Yeah?
Who's that chair over
I love
here,
them.
honey?
Oh, it's excellent.
Scale from 1 to 10, Bob. What do you think?
Fantastic. They're on 10 every
You
time.
got a plate
10?
over there? Oh, 10 plus.
Yeah, really
You guys
good.
need a plate?
I love them too.
Of course, Cindy's a good cook. Cindy cooked them.
Go ahead and try one, hon. What do you think?
This is
I
better.
love them. This is my favorite
is
way,
better
although,
than-
like you're saying, they can be, after you boil them, you can treat them like chunk chicken and put them with pasta or
This is better than
put them
the
on a
steak.
hamburger or
Yeah.
just anything. Thanks for watching Hunt and Gather with the Chatters, and we'll see you next time when we go get something to eat.
Yeah, let's go get some more of these. Mercy.